Okay guys, now we're going to start learning about the data description specifications or DDS files. As IBM is going through the process of modernization, the idea of modernization over here is to convert your DDS into your databases. We have done some tutorials on databases before, and we're going to do some more tutorials in the future, but I've given you a lot of tutorials on DB2, but now I want to give you some information on the DDS so that you learn how the DDS is, how the DDS is structured. It actually predates databases. If you're coming from database to DDS, you're going to find that it lacks a lot of features. But moving forward, it's going to help you convert the DDS into the DB2 database tables. So the DDS idea is that it's a repository to hold your data. So our tutorials, we're going to basically concentrate on the idea that how you can create the physical files and the logical files. Physical files, if you're coming from a database world, are pretty much like a table. So they have fields, and each field has a data type, and once you create the physical file, then you can store data in it. So I'm going to actually walk you through this process. In order for you to create this whole thing, the physical file or a logical file, you need to follow this model which is described in this slide. First of all, you need to have a library. Once you create a library, you need to have an object that we call source physical file. This is the object where the entire source code of your physical file or the logical file resides. So once you create your source physical file, the next thing that you do is you then create a member. This member can be a physical file member or a logical file member. This member is where your entire data structure or your record structure lies. Your record structure comprises of a record format, and it comprises of the fields, where each field has a field name and a data type. It's very much like a table. So first thing that you need to have is a library. You do not need to have a new library just to work with source physical files. You can use your existing library. And we have covered how to create a library in the previous tutorial. Then source physical file is created under a library. Members are under the source physical files, but they are not objects. They're just simply entries into source physical file. Then after you create a member with all its specifications, you then compile the member. Once you compile the member, then what you get is your data file, or a file which is in the form of an object that you can interact with. You can put data in it if it's a physical file. If it's a logical file, logical files are like views in the database world. So this basically taps into an existing one or more physical files and grabs the data from there. So when we get to the logical files, we're going to deal with them in a little bit more detail. But for now, we'll be concentrating on physical files. In order for you to create a source physical file, remember, this is the step down from a library. From a library, you come down to a source physical file. This is where you code your members, and then inside the members, you will going to write your specifications. So, in order for you to create a source physical file, we issue a command called CRT-SRCPF, create source physical file. Once this command is issued, you press F4, and then we're going to take you through the process of how you fill out the blanks in the prompt screen, and then you go about creating your source physical file. Once you create your source physical file, then you use a utility called source entry utility, and this utility allows you to write your source code for the members, where you can write your record format, where you can create your fields, give your fields descriptions. All of that stuff goes into source entry utility. To start a source entry utility, we issue a command STR and press F4, and then go through a prompt so that we can start a new physical file or a logical file. We'll take you through that process. And then after that's done, you go to another utility called Programming Development Manager, PDM utility. To start it, you go to STR PDM. This is where you compile your member, and upon successful compilation, it creates an object. Once the object is created, then you go to a DFU, which is a data file utility, which allows you to add data to it. Now, this is one way of doing things. As we progress through this tutorial, I'll take you to the System I Navigator, which is another way for you to populate data in it. Then I'm going to take you to Rational Tools, which will going to pretty much take care of a lot of things for you that I've shown you in here. So once you are in a rational developer tool, you can pretty much create your source physical file in the same tool. You can create your member, you can compile your member, you can do a whole 9 yards in one utility. You don't have to keep shifting utilities, and it's a graphical user interface utility. You're gonna love it once you see it. You probably may not even want to come back to the 5250 screen. So for now, this is basically our roadmap that we're going to be following one step at a time. So in the next tutorial, I'm going to teach you how you can create a source physical file. Thank you for watching.